What's up, guys? It's Jason Abbott. Just wanted to give you a quick introduction for episode 7. Already at episode 7. We are going to be discussing the Lucia No. 3. It is a machine that is a hypnagogic light experience. It was co-invented by both the gentlemen we're going to be talking to today, Dr. Dirk Prockel and Dr. Engelbert Winkler. You'll hear in the podcast here where we will discuss how it came about, its uses, many benefits, and some of the implications that can be used in daily life. Unfortunately, there's not many of these machines that are out there yet, but there is a distributor I'm going to have in the notes here that you guys can check out. I'm going to be joined by my sister today, Melanie Abbott. We talk about all kinds of different stuffs, from neurostimulation to consciousness itself, psychedelics, the beauty that the machine can provide, sensory deprivation, things like that, meditation especially. So hopefully you guys will enjoy the episode here. We're going to be sponsored today by Consciousness, so make sure you guys open that up and enjoy the episode. I just want to say thanks to everybody for listening and subscribing to the podcast and sharing it out with people and just discussing it. It's been nice hearing from people and going back and forth, and it's great to know that people are out there on the web listening to this. So, Dr. Dirk Prockel, he is a neurologist and a psychologist. He works in a private medical practice and focuses on interaction between the psyche and the nervous system. He studied medicine and psychology at universities, and he's done his postgraduate work, both solo and in teams in Austria, on the rehabilitation of migraines, neurotransmitter distribution within the central nervous system, and source analysis of color and electroencephalograms. And the other gentleman that joined us today was Dr. Engelbert Winkler. He's a clinical and health psychologist, supervising psychotherapist, and legal expert witness. Graduated in Innsbruck in 1989 with qualifications in philosophy, psychology, and he later added additional certification in logotherapy and hypnotherapy. He actually experienced a near-death experience of his own that he'll talk about a little bit, that posed some of the inspiration for this machine and the light experience itself. He is a developer of new psychotherapeutic intervention methods for systemic and individual use, and among other things, the hypnagogic light experience itself. So I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. You can find us on our main hub. It is intellectualgentlemen'sclub.com. That's our main website. Facebook with the same name. You can find us on Twitter at IGCcast, or you can send me an email personally at igccast@gmail.com. I'll definitely give you guys an answer if you shoot me an email. I want to say thanks for supporting us out there again. And if you wanted to get your IGC stickers, they're available on the website. The music, again, is going to be provided by Secrets, and you can find him on SoundCloud. If you guys like the episode, please hit us up on the iTunes page and give us a rating and a review. That would really help us out. We would really appreciate it. And I hope you enjoy. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to be discussing the Lucia No. 3. This is a machine that produces a light experience, and online we have the inventors, Dr. Dirk Prockel and Dr. Engelbert Winkler. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hello. Hello.
They're joining us from Austria, and we really appreciate the time that they're spending with us today. So, first off the bat, why don't you guys just give us a brief rundown of what exactly the Lucia No. 3 is?
Lucia No. 3 is a kind of neurostimulator which works with a combination of pulsing light and steady light. And it works in a way that it confronts the brain with different kind of frequencies. Each frequency has an effect on its own, but in combination, they develop a very, very individual effect on every single person. Every time you use it, so it's always a new and it's always a fresh hypnagogic experience where you can see different worlds of colors and forms by entering a very, very deep meditative state.
Now, I did hear about people during like the 70s. I guess it was big to have strobe lights to enhance meditation practices, and there was something called a dream machine that was created. I don't think those are available anymore. It seems like they were sold out when I looked for them. But is there? Did you guys build on that type of concept? How'd you come up with the concept exactly?
No, the interesting thing is that we came totally a different way. Because as a child, I had a near-death experience, and so as a psychologist, I was very interested in such kind of topics, especially the light experience reported within near-death experience usually has a very, very deep effect on the mind of the person experiencing it. And so as a psychotherapist, I asked myself, and to try to find ways to use a kind of technology to induce such a experience into my clients. And so I started by trying to simulate the light experience, also with using hypnosis and an external light, a steady light at the beginning, to bring people into a trance state and then enhancing that state by using the light. And when I did that, there were so amazing effects that I joined my friend Dirk Burkel, who made some EEG studies on that and saw that there are very, very exciting things happening in the brain when the people are in that light experience. So he had the idea to combine it with a stroboscopic light. And by having our first prototype, which originally was our espresso machine in our office, we noticed that we experiencing something which we never expected before. And after we did our own research, we found out that it was a very, very old technology, stimulating the brain with different frequencies, either by drumming or also by light, making a fire and turning a wheel in front of the fire in the Greek mystery cults, for instance, and also by dream machine or kind of mind machines using the same effect, that the brain answers to confrontation with frequencies always in an individual way. So the more intense the stimulation, and especially the combination of frequencies, the more intense is the effect.
Okay, I want to take back let's go back just a little bit. We'll talk about this near-death experience you had when you were a child. Now, when you're talking about the light experience, are you referring to like the light at the end of the tunnel, or the light flashing before your eyes?
I would say that the problem with the term near-death experience is that it makes you think that it has something to do with dying, which it has just in a way that it happens when somebody is dying. But there are many, many other different ways of having such a kind of light experience. So the near-death experience is just a good opportunity of doing research. And so in this topic, you find the most interesting research. But you can get into such light experience also by meditation, by using psychoactive substances, something like that.
Right, of course. Now, when the machine was in development, obviously you stated that it started with an espresso machine. When it's called Lucia No. 3, is it because it's the third generation?
Yes, because there were two advices before Lucia, and it was the steady light, and there was also a bigger one which is not ready now. So Lucia No. 3 was faster than Lucia No. 2, which is still in development.
Okay. And Lucia No. 3, correct me if I'm wrong, but how this works is there's a light attendant on some type of computer that dictates specific frequencies to induce specific states, whether it's a transcendental state or some type of just relaxation. And then you have the user that sits in a chair or in a comfortable position, and it's usually accompanied by music, usually a peaceful type of music, I would imagine. And how long does the session last, or does it really depend on the user?
You do the session as long as you like to do it, and usually the people like it most when you do it in between 20 and 40 minutes. So then you have the opportunity to get rather deep into this state. But you can do it even longer. We have done it on our own for about 3 hours. I know by people who have done it for more hours, up to 6 or 8 hours. But it's more, you can deal with it easier with 20 to 40 minutes.
Okay.
I can imagine it kind of feels like no time has gone by at all.
Right.
After you're in that for a while.
Yeah, similar to meditation.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine, I haven't had an experience with the machine. This is probably going back a couple months ago. I was just doing some interesting research and just consciousness, just looking at YouTube and things like that, and I found, a video of the machine in use, and I was very skeptical at first, and I kind of dove in a little bit deeper and watched a lot more videos. I checked out your website and did some background on you guys, and I was really impressed. Immediately, I started to get this feeling, I have to try this. So, unfortunately, we're in Detroit, and the closest machine that I could find is in New York, New York. I know that they had at MAPS convention this year, Psychedelic Science 2013, they had a machine over there as well. How did that go over there?
Yeah, it was a very interesting and good conference. There were many attendees, I think about 1,800 people coming there.
Mm-hmm.
So we had the chance to offer this experience to some people. And as expected, the people were very open to this experience and gave such an interesting feedback about the comparison between this state of consciousness and the state of altered consciousness you can achieve by other methods or even by substances like the psychedelics.
Sorry, go ahead.
So we had a lot of confirmation of our previous experiences. So it shows to be a rather good tool to achieve this source of altering consciousness for our daily life, even with different methods, and it's very easy to use.
Excellent. And I've also heard that the machine, while the lights are working, it acts through the eye and has some type of effect on the pineal gland. And there is some speculation that the pineal gland is the source where DMT is created and possibly secreted from. I don't know if there's any hard evidence on that. How do you guys feel about the DMT release, and do you think that has anything to do with the near-death experiences and lucid dreaming or even normal dreaming and altered states like that?
I think it is always very different thing. Making a comparison between different things is always not so good to do. But I can say I had a near-death experience, and sometimes though I had the opportunity of using DMT. And I must admit, for me, it was totally the same experience.
The same experience?
It was the same experience.
Wow.
The DMT experience was a very, very deep, I would say it is a holy experience. For me, it was a holy experience, I have to admit that. And I just had that on my near-death experience and with the DMT experience.
Okay.
And I would say that the Lucia experience has something to do with that. There is the beauty of the Lucia experience is, I would say, the same kind of beauty you can experience in these DMT experiences, but the DMT experience, of course, goes much, much deeper. But the Lucia experience can give you an impression of the beauty of the experience at all. And I think that's exactly the way it works, to experience that ultimate beauty itself is the healing effect of the machine. So the more the people allow themselves and allow us to find out which frequency combination is best for that, the more they can enjoy that beauty, the more that will establish itself a kind of healing effect afterwards.
Very, very interesting. We've had a couple people on the podcast that have been down to Brazil and Peru and experienced ayahuasca, which is the basically the traditional form of dimethyltryptamine that is in the shamanic brews. Have you had an experience with ayahuasca? And if so, how does it compare?
Well, I tried the ayahuasca for several times, but it doesn't work so good with me by ingesting it, by swallowing this brew. So I would say the effect was much less than smoking it. And by this, I would also say it's very similar from this experience more with the lamp experience. So you can go slightly into it, but you are not overwhelmed. You don't go into this state of glorious experience. As Engelbert said, it's a sacred experience with DMT and full dose. But it comes very close to it. And also what people say who have stronger experiences with the ayahuasca brew, they tell us it has also very close relation to their experience with the light.
Very interesting. Now there's I'm sorry, go ahead.
I would also say that that is exactly the point. We can say that there is a similarity between the experiences, so that allows us to say that there might also be a similarity in the cause. And the DMT hypothesis is at the time the most strong hypothesis we have. But as far as I know, it's not proven in a scientific sense, but we are getting closer and closer to that. I would say that's the state of the art now. But maybe Dirk has something to add to that.
Well, maybe there is more proof for it. In the meantime, as you said before, until a few years ago, we didn't know whether there is DMT in the pineal gland. And some weeks ago, I read about something on it that there is DMT in the pineal gland, but I have to look for the primary literature to know whether it's true or just a report. But the most obvious and important thing might be that we come to a point where also the shamans say you are on the right way if you surrender to this beauty of the visuals that you can experience with these substances is a good way to go into these states. And that's the similarity with the lamp. We have a sensory stimulation, and we make it easy for the people to go to the sensory, the perception and experience. And this is all the time around us. It's in our environment. And it seems to be a very effective stimulation to take rhythms. You could also take it by auditory stimulation. And that's also a point what some people report, that they hear glorious music in these states. And at that point, we could also go back to the point of synesthesias, at the point where the sensory system begins to differentiate between visual system, auditory system, tactile system, and maybe at the end it's all the same. Just to open it and go and surrender to it, and then you have the experience.
So synesthesia is where you can taste colors and see music, and where things get all kind of mixed up, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, and some people have these experiences that there is a combination or a linkage between the different channels of our sensory system. And there is one theory that as we are born, we have just one sensory system. And then after a while, it differentiates. So we get lost of something. We get something new, but we also get lost of something. And it's the point to get back to the roots.
Do you think that the machine opens up different sensories that perhaps we're not in touch with? As far as, a lot of people say, with our five senses, some people say there's six. Do you think that there's perhaps more that, machines like Lucia No. 3 can open doorways, similar to if you're, taking some type of psychedelic experience or something like that?
I would definitely say that Lucia can open such a kind of portal, but it totally depends on the one who uses it, if he is also able to go through it or to use it as a portal. So there is a difference between Lucia and, for instance, psychedelics. You can turn it off and you can change the frequency combination, so you can watch or be watchful that it is always a very pleasant experience. Because otherwise it can be also exactly as all light experiences have the possibility to do that. They have also the possibility to show you the shadowy side of yourself.
That was another question I had, yeah. Explain that shadowy side for us.
Which is also a part of every person. And we must say that healing in a holistic sense always means that there is a confrontation with this shadowy part of yourself to reunite with it and to be one again. And every spiritual experience and every healing experience, which is the same, involves such kind of confrontation. And the question is the readiness of the one who uses such kind of methods, psychedelic methods, or also spiritual methods, meditation even, to enter this world. When someone is very, should I say, one-minded and just say there has to be a very good experience and is not able and does not allow the shadowy side to be as well, then he can get in problems. And these problems can induce very frightening experiences and which have a very high therapeutical potential. But if something like that happens, then I think the person should use therapeutic to get over it.
Interesting. Now, when you're talking about the shadowy side and somebody starts to experience some anxiety, you have that light attendant there. Do they kind of understand what's happening? Do they see it on the face of the person? How do they know that is going on? Is it something that is in a meditative state? I've been practicing meditation for many years now. It's something to me where I'm not kind of in a trance. I mean, there's been a few times where I've experienced the bliss, the ultimate bliss and things like that through it. But most of the time, it's just my sitting meditation. I'm aware of what's going on around me, so I can kind of snap out of it. I think probably what intrigued me most about the machine is that you can get a psychedelic experience without committing, like taking LSD and you're on an 8-hour adventure that you really can't control. If it ever gets to the point where it starts to get bad for you, you can basically turn off the machine and come back to baseline. Is that right?
Yeah, it's definitely so that the light attendants are trained in helping people going into a most positive experience, because that's really the point. If someone experiences a kind of anxiety or not well feeling when the light is going on, then he should say stop. That's a very important thing. If he does that, if someone just is watchful that the experience is a pleasant one, then there is nothing to be scared of. But if you don't say stop and you go into the frightening experience, then you will see these shadowy things. which at least are just a part of yourself. So you always find yourself on the other side of the bottle because there's nothing else to find there. So, and that's the point. We are living in a world, many people are very, very far away from themselves, and they don't know what they selves are. And if something like looking into a mirror can induce a harmful experience, then this harmful experience might be quite a healing one by itself. So at the end, it is always this confrontation which with yourself, which is what you will find.
Now, what kind of positive effects does this machine have as far as depression and anxiety, or, you know, people with panic attack disorders? Because I do know that, you know, if it's somewhat like a experience like you're explaining, it can trigger panic. You know, I've actually had experiences with some psychedelics in the past, and it turned into a pretty frightening experience. So that's why I think it's you know, this machine, like Jason was saying, you could just turn it off if it becomes a bad experience for you. But with people, you know, that have bad panic attack disorders, do you think this would be helpful for them?
Yes, of course it is, because I developed it out of a therapeutic background, and I use it in therapy, especially for panic attacks, for instance, because it is very, very easy to induce a massive panic attack when someone is suffering from panic attacks and you turn on the machine. But as fast as the panic arises, it vanishes when you turn down the light and just the steady light. So you can use it, for instance, to desensibilize the anxiety disorder by enabling a patient staying in the frightening frequencies longer and longer by getting control over it, because when you say stop, then we go in the pleasant, go back to the pleasant experience. And the interesting thing is, which I found out since I worked with the lamp, that many, many persons with anxiety disorder are very, very sensible to light. Interestingly, at the end of a successful therapy, they are not so sensible anymore. And one should not overestimate the machine in that context, because I use the machine in the anxiety therapy just 2 or 3 times. And when I did that, and the client has learned to induce that kind of light experience by himself, for instance, by closing the eyes and imagining a bright light, or looking with closed eyes into the sun or another bright light. And when he feels an anxiety, panic attack, something like that arising, and he does that, he can calm himself down in a very effective way. So that is a kind of example for using it as a therapeutical tool in therapy. But the other thing is that when you sit in front of the lamp and you see those fractalic structures in front of you and you merge into it, then there is a kind of recognition that the contents of your experience and the instance out of which the experience arises is not exactly what you thought it is. And it can be that you experience a kind of steadiness within all these things happening, colors and forms and so on. And by experiencing that, you get a step closer to your real nature as kind of consciousness. And that's a very intense and interesting therapeutic effect, because people who experience that, they report of changing of attitudes, changing of behavior patterns, and something like that in the weeks following experience. And it is in perfect accordance with the work of Kenneth Ring, who found out that the same kind of personality changing things happening after near-death experience.
Wow, that's very interesting, especially the part about, you know, people with anxiety being sensitive to light like that. I had no idea. That's really interesting.
It is interesting. I'm wondering, do people experience the same type of experience when sun gazing after a session like this, if they're, if they're out sun tanning or whatnot, and it's very bright. Obviously, when you're sun tanning, I was doing a little bit of that this week, and I was trying to get into the hypnagogic state, as I do sometimes before I go to sleep. Problem with that is when I'm going to sleep, I'll start to play a little bit with that state, and then basically you're out. You don't quite remember it when you wake up. Do you think that people have a better memory recall when they use the machine, or is it similar to an experience like a dream where you wake up, it disappears if you don't write the experience down?
I think that's exactly the point. After using the machine just to show the people what is possible, most of the people, for most of the people, it is very, very easy to go into that state again without the machine. So one should not estimate the machine. It's just something which gives you a push to recognize something which is there all the time. If you lying in the sun doing some sun tanning and you close your eyes, usually the people are in their thoughts and in their feelings or in their imagined inner worlds. But if you just look into your eyes, into your closed eyes, then you will recognize very soon there are structures, colors, and the more you look into it, the more they emerge, and the more they emerge, the more the easier it is to go into them. And it's exactly also the same when you go to sleep in the night. You close your eyes and there is darkness. Most of the people, they don't look into that darkness. They just look into their thoughts and their imaginations or something like that. But if they, after one session with the Lucia, one lady called me some days later, and she had difficulties to fall asleep before. And she told me that since that Lucia session, she closed her eyes in the evening, and looking into those colors and forms which are there, she gets totally lost in that and falls asleep immediately. And she asked me if that will ever go away and it will be as black as it was before. And then I told her it never was black, you just was seen it, and it will never be back, the blackness will be there never, because it never was. So the people recognize that there's something is going on, and they recognize something they experienced when they sit in front of Lucia, because it's much stronger. So I don't use the lamp too often.
Okay. You guys wrote a book together called The Elf's Mirror, is that right?
Excuse me?
Did you the two of you co-author a book called The Elf's Mirror?
Yes, of course. As I told you before, I in the beginning of my work, I used different kind of techniques, because I'm also a psychologist for children, and I developed ways of inducing light experiencing by children by using stories, using the story as a kind of trance induction, and then the mother can, for instance, by reading the story to the child, when the child goes to bed in the evening, the child closes its eyes, and at a special moment in the story, the mother uses a lamp to point the light to the closed eyes of the child. So, and later on, I wrote a story together with my daughter for young people. It's just a kind of Harry Potter-like story with the ideas of the light experience and and some kind of physics information, basics about the matter of light and light in kind of spiritual context. So this is a kind of story to show people, especially younger people, how interesting it is and how adventurous it is to think about light and to use and to see light in a different way than we usually do.
It seems like this machine can do great benefit for a wide variety of people, children included. And I'm wondering how many of the machines are out there, how many have been in production, how many therapists are using this type of technology.
Yeah, we have the same impression as since we are around with a machine. We learn to know more and more people who are doing the same thing with different technologies, and so we have the impression that we're just being part of something bigger going on. it goes quite fast because we had the first type of the lamp in 2009, and now at the moment I think there are 50 lamps or something about that around the world, and more people asking for a lamp.
I can imagine why.
Definitely.
Because this is something that I would really, really, really want to try, and I just don't have access in my area. So if I ever get over to New York City, that's definitely a spot that I'll be checking out over there. I'll try and put a link up on the description in the podcast and where they can be found. There is a distributor that sells to individuals as well. Do you know what the price is on those machines?
That's the problem. You never have to ask me for the price because I was totally not interested in that kind of thing.
Talk to the distributor, right?
But I would also say you should see it by yourself, because as I told you at the beginning, it's just the experience. All we talk, it's just talk, but the thing is the experience by itself. And just try it out and enjoy it the most you can. If you don't like it, never mind, because it's just one of many roads to the same mountaintop.
Understood. It's used as a tool.
Yes.
I gotcha. All right. If somebody were to get their hands on a machine, is there a way that they can be their own light attendant? Can it be used solo, or does it require two people to use it?
No.
When you are used to it, you can do it on your own, I'm sure. And it doesn't take so much time. But the intention is also to show people some kind of experience that might be new for them. And so we thought it's better to have a light attendant on their side. It's like having a guide to make it easier to get into it, not for interpretation or for alone for therapeutic tools, but it's more to be together with people. But we on our own doing it without light attendant.
And everyone who buys a machine gets a training to be a light attendant by himself. So the training for every single machine is in a way that it is best for the one who buys the machine to use it the way he wants to use it. If a therapist, for instance, buys it, the training means that we show him how to use the lamp in his way, making therapy. Because it's totally different if you are a behavioral therapist or a psychoanalyst. And also, if you are, for instance, an artist, there are some artists who bought lamps, then we show you how to use the lamp for yourself to churn your sleep as you want. So everybody gets the training he wants to get to use it the best he can.
Okay. I was also taking some kind of correlation between John Lilly. He developed the isolation float tank, and he developed something called the meta-programming, where you can kind of reprogram your brain to get rid of negative behaviors and things like that. Do you use some sort of meta-programming yourselves when you use the lamps?
Well, I think you could use it in this way. I prefer the point that the experience is a experience on itself. So if you follow the way of this beauty and just to enjoy this experience, I'm sure you will find your way also afterwards. But some kind of programming might be, you could interpret it as going away from the usual pathways our brain takes to think about problems or situations you are in. And by stimulating methods, or in the case of the floating tanks, by taking away stimulation, by deprivation, you can bring your brain into a state that's not the everyday state. There is a lot to talk about it, about the network that's usual on in the brain all the time, and different methods seem to take influence on this fixed network and this default mode network of the brain. And by this way, we can open to a new point of looking at things and having another viewpoint to look at things, going into ourselves. By changing ourselves and our perception of the world, we automatically take influence on the world.
That's what I was getting out of the some of the videos I was watching, because it seems like it's almost an instantaneous type of effect that one would receive. I guess my next question dives a little bit deeper, and there's a lot of psychonauts out there who will experiment in any possible way they can with whatever compounds or experiences they can. Do you know of anybody that has taken psychedelics while under the influence of the machine?
Oh, wow.
Yes, we know about these experiences, yeah. The result is, if people can deal with a psychedelic experience, I'm sure they can deal with a lamp, and I'm sure they can deal with also a combination, because the experience is very similar in many instances. How could you say? I couldn't see adverse reactions if people can deal with it, especially with the psychedelics. It's to differentiate from the stimulants, from the downers, like, cocaine or heroin. For that, I don't have the experience. Besides that, people who want to make their perception close and be on their own, not disturbed by the world or their thoughts, they don't like this kind of opening the gates, the doors.
Yeah, I would imagine that someone would use it as like psychedelic. I'm thinking of largely psilocybin, possibly MDMA. We talked about DMT a little bit. I think it would probably counteractive to use it with heroin or cocaine or methamphetamines. Right. I can't imagine that that would many people would want to try while under the influence of the machine. I think they have different connotations behind them. When I put our notice on Facebook out that we were going to be talking with the two of you, I had one of our listeners ask a question, and she said it basically sounds like a migraine waiting to happen. Have you guys had any negative effects that you are aware of where it stimulates headaches or any negative side effects, short or long term?
In general, it's like going on a kind of expedition, and going to an expedition to expectedly unknown realms of your consciousness. There you can make positive and negative experiences. Going to this case of migraine, I, for example, have migraine not so often. The visuals are very similar to the light stimulation, but I did it during a migraine attack, and I made it several times in between, of course, and I couldn't see any negative effect of it. It's more that by chance I had some feedback from people who didn't come to treat their migraine but had migraine, and some of them told me that they had less migraine afterwards. And that would make sense for me, because migraine is also a phenomenon, if you take it on the physiological base. It's a phenomenon also of the electric activity of the brain. And it seems that people with migraine get stuck in some kind of enhancement of electronegativity of the surface of the brain. And by that, by stimulating and going away from a fixed negativity, then it should be a positive effect on these kind of diseases. Yeah. Now, but I wouldn't use the lamp as a healing device on its own, to say.
What about the effect of people that have the history of seizures? Because I know, you hear about people with epilepsy. If they, right. They see strobe lights, they tend to go into a seizure. And I really thought that was an interesting question to ask too.
Yeah. So as it is a stimulating procedure, I wouldn't recommend it for people who have epilepsy to do it, especially not for the people with photosensitive epilepsy. On the other hand, I didn't have bad experiences with it in my work as a neurologist, but I wouldn't recommend it for other people to do it. Looking at some phenomena in combination with epilepsy, taking especially the photosensitive epilepsy, and there are some reports that some people who have this kind of epilepsy also enjoy this state that they come in. And there is a very close relation between, say, déjà vu experiences and some special kinds of epilepsy. Really? And going deeper into this phenomenon of déjà vu experience would bring us even deeper into these fields of other consciousness, of relationship between our consciousness and time and space, and about our personal experience, about future and past. It would go very far into this direction, as Art Fankhauser has written about it, and also Anthony Peake has written some books about special phenomena in combination with that.
Interesting. Yeah, I find it fascinating that, you know, as time goes on and people explore consciousness on different levels with different means, it's just a rabbit hole that keeps going further down and further down. Or, at some point we'll make a great discovery and think, hey, we got this figured out, and then something else pops up, and it just keeps going and going and going. It's fascinating. Does the fact that a machine being able to immediately induce altered states that has usually taken years of dedicated meditation take away from a genuine experience?
When we've been in Tibet with the lamp, one of the Tibetan monks which used the lamp declared us afterwards that he nearly immediately was at that place where he usually starts his meditation. So I would not say that if someone has totally never experienced meditation, can use the lamp to do meditation. But on the other side, if he can allow himself to go with the lamp to that point in himself where meditation is what happens by itself, then he can learn meditation by that. The question is, can he allow himself to go that far or not?
So it's basically, it can be used as a tool to train in providing a deeper meditative experience. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
I use it that way in my office because many people can have much benefit by doing meditation regularly. And when I tell them to do some meditation, they usually look at me in a way that I know if they say yes, it is because they are polite. But when I sit them in front of the lamp and they enjoy it a lot, what they experience there, then they afterwards have not the slightest problem. When I tell them that they should go walking on a lake and looking into the wrinkles of the water and find the same kind of experience there and use the same kind of experience to experience their own health and improve their health by doing that. Then they do it immediately, and they report me that it is very easy for them to do that, and they find their own ways to go into that state. I think that is meditation.
Yeah, to find their own ways. And I also would say it's not to do instead of meditation. It's a very good complementary method to these meditation techniques or other techniques. It's not only to have the experience. We want to bring the experience to more people, just to have the experience, to know what we are talking about. But to implement it in your life, that could take different ways. And you could also go on meditation and make it easier for you with meditation, but not to go to a machine, switch it on, switch it off. You can do it additionally as far as you want. It's a new way maybe, in addition to other ways, but you can keep on your way of living, and you can also go further with your lifestyle.
Yeah, I would think that would be very beneficial for people like me who have a very active mind. It's hard to concentrate with.
Yeah. That's also a phenomenon with meditation, for example, or with the sensory deprivative methods, that if you try to go into this state of calmness, of being calm, then all the thoughts come up, and you think about what's my next state, or have I forgotten something?
Monkey mind.
Right.
Yeah, and by stimulating just one channel of our sensory system, it takes so much attention to it, and it's so easy to focus on it. You forget all your other thoughts that are stuck in you. And you will also have some thoughts coming up, but they vanish as the new imagination comes up. And so it's easier for people who have problems with that, with concentrating or getting along on a line.
That'd be nice.
I wanted to go back just to the music a little bit. I've read that music plays an integral role in the experience itself. Can different types of music cause different experiences? I'm thinking largely, something between like a Mozart piece and electronic music, or something versus heavy metal. Have you had any experience with people using different type of music and different outcomes, or is it subjective to the user?
I think it is very subjective to the user, and I'm sure that different people using different kind of music will have very different kind of experiences. I have a client of mine which is 74 years old, and she usually likes the very, very strong sessions, and she always combines that with the sweet air from Johann Sebastian Bach, which she likes very much. But at the Lunar Art event in Munich, there was a guy who liked it most with a kind of heavy metal music. And I, for myself, I must say that sometimes I enjoy it very much with Pink Floyd, for instance, or David Bowie or something like that.
I can imagine the heavy metal would probably make the visuals more intense, and then more the ambient side would be, more of a mellow type of visual.
Peaceful vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a helpful tool to get into a certain mood you want to go into, and that's individual, and it's more the tool just to make it convenient with the theory of set and setting. Make it easy for you to get into this state.
Yeah, so you bring your intention to the experience itself, and it dictates a large part of the outcome, I would imagine.
Yeah, that's right. You can have influence on your own on the way you take.
Okay. Graham, I was just thinking about different ideas and maybe any pushback you guys may have had with the invention. I can't imagine why, but I know that Graham Hancock asserts that in the world today there's a war on consciousness. Being that this is not a drug, have there been any concerns, legal or otherwise, about the machine from mainstream media or politics, or any attorneys that have a problem with your doing?
No, I wouldn't know so much about these effects. Well, we tell the people, for example, with epilepsy not to do it, and we have some regulations in using the lamp. But on the other hand, there will also always be people who get disturbed about something other people are doing. And as we just offer to look at something that's there all the time in real world by our sensory system, we just show a natural way to go into a certain direction of your consciousness. But you're right. The machine, in some instances, very individual, and by this it's also anarchic, I would say. So many people feel disturbed if other people get dulled and on their own, working on their own, thinking their own way. So I could imagine that some people don't like this policy. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but we must say that the use of the machine is within the legal. There is the people have to sign before they use it that they were told the risk of it. And but as a psychologist who works with children who have behavioral problems, I have to say that we are living also in a society which believes that every kind of problem is bad and has to be legalized in a way,
Right.
and has not to be the case. And that is very unrealistic. There was a poet once said, "Beauty is dangerous," and I think it should be.
Yeah, I think I heard somebody last week. They said that freedom is a concept that everybody likes to think that they like, but that they like the idea of freedom, that they like to be told more to do what often than not. So I think, it takes a certain kind of individual who would be interested in expanding their consciousness one way or another. I would find that this would probably be the easiest way to do that. It seemed I was just kind of shocked where I watched a video, somebody, in the chair and having the headphones on, and immediately when the frequencies started to take effect, they're looking around the room like it's creating a three-dimensional space around them, and almost kind of like a virtual reality type of deal. Seeing fractals, and then I'm sure you can make your own fractals, do what you want them to do, and manipulate them with your mind. I know with when you're falling asleep, getting in that hypnagogic state, I try and play with it often and see where it can take me. And oftentimes I can move it in the direction I want to. So I just think it would be something fantastic to experience.
Definitely.
I know that there's a few units that travel around to different parts of the world, different conventions and things like that. But it seems there are just a few permanent locations that have the machine. I know that there was a place in London that had one. I think that they're done with their session. But what do you think would be the easiest way to the average Joe to find one near them, especially in the United States, where most of our listeners come from?
Well, we have on our homepage we have listed the people who have a lamp and offer it to the public. So you could have a look there. At the moment, we don't have so many lamps, as you know, in the United States. It's in San Diego, in Vermont, and in New York at the moment. So there is the distance, and maybe people who are interested to make an experience. They could also look at Facebook. We announce where we are going to on Facebook, or ask the distributors who are also listed on our website whether they know about some activity they are doing.
And if somebody wanted to perhaps order a machine and start like a home-based business or something like that, what would be involved in purchasing a machine, and how would they become a certified light attendant? What kind of training does that entail?
Yeah, I think the first step would be to make the experience. Then you should better know what it is and whether you want to implement it into your work. The second step would be to take up contact with Sigrid Pierce or Martin Duszek of the company. They are engaged with all these economic stuff and selling. They could give more information about that. And then the next steps are, as you have more questions, you can ask them.
Great.
They are also with their email address on our website.
And do you guys have any any plans to upgrade any hardware or software features in this? Is there going to be a Lucia number 4 perhaps someday?
No, at the moment we are quite busy working with Lucia number 3.
I can imagine.
And I'm more involved in making more and more new sessions, combining different kind of frequencies in a very new way. And so it's for me, it's just that the lamp is a kind of hardware which includes the possibility of doing what I want to do. But of course, the more people have a lamp, the more they have some interest that we shall change the software so that they can do things we could not do before. And that is happening all the time. But if something is new on the software, then we share that with everyone who has a lamp, so that there is a development process all the time. So I would say it will stay with Lucia number 3, but it will develop within it.
Is that what the Lucia Academy is? Is that what that's all about, to kind of share between the operators?
Yeah, it's all on our homepage there. People can stay in contact with one another, and we put all the new sessions we make on it so they can take it from there. And that's where the exchange is the case.
Okay. I think we're approaching our hour mark here. Do you guys want to give out your website and any Facebook addresses or Twitter accounts that you might have where people can find you and more information on the light?
Well, our homepage is www.lightattendance.com or .eu. Light attendance with a dash. Light attendance.eu or .com. Then we are on Facebook by typing Hypnagogic Light Experience. You will find it. Hypnagogic Light Experience with Lucia. These are both of the platforms you can use to get in contact and know more about it.
Great. Well, I wanted to thank you both for making time across the globe today to talk with us through the wonders of technology that we have available to us in this day and age. I don't think 5 years ago we would have been able to do something like this, perhaps. So I really appreciate it. Melanie, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's been great talking to you guys.
Thank you very much for the interest, and we are planning to do an American tour next year.
Oh, that sounds great. Well, keep us in touch there, because I definitely want to see where you guys are going on tour, and I'd like to meet up with you guys face to face, and I definitely would like to experience your invention.
Me too.
Yes, we will.
Keep in contact. Thank you for our talk. It was interesting for us also. With interested people. It's good.
Okay, doctors. Well, thank you again, and all my listeners out there, thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time. All right, hang loose, guys.